The 2025 NBA campaign is 1 week old, which means every team has played at least a couple games. Therefore, we can now overreact about what we have seen. Who has overperformed? Who has opened up the year poorly? And who may be traded in the not-too-distant future? Please keep in mind this is obviously a way too early reaction, hence why I'm calling it an overreaction. This video is for fun. It will be cool to come back here near the end of the year to see what everyone was talking about. I bet most of these reactions will be goofy to look back on, but some may be an early warning of what is to come. Before we dive in, please like the video as it helps me out a lot more than you guys realize. Now, let us get started in reverse alphabetical order. For the Washington Wizards, I would say Jordan Poole looks like an early season Most Improved Player of the Year candidate. Everyone knows how poorly Poole performed with Washington last year. A lot of people expected him to put up impressive numbers for the shaky team, but he ended up being one of the worst players in all of the NBA. This year, through only 2 games, he is scoring the ball very well, knocking down his long shots effectively, creating for his teammates, and now putting up impressive defensive counting stats. They have yet to win a match, but if he can maintain his production, and some of his teammates pick it up, Washington just may actually fight for a play-in spot. For the Utah Jazz, I want to believe that the franchise has bought into Walker Kessler. The defensive anchor had a very impressive rookie year in Utah, but did not get an increased role in year 2. In fact, he spent a lot of the year coming off the bench. At least through 2 games this year, Walker has been in the starting lineup and playing a career high in minutes. He's finishing his shots around the rim, he is gobbling up rebounds, he's protecting the paint as good as anyone. There really is no reason Kessler cannot be both their center of the present and the future. So I hope he continues getting his starting level minutes so we can see what he can do. For the Toronto Raptors, I just want to say how good the young guys who did not have a lot of hype coming into the year have looked, especially the undrafted upperclassman Jamison Battle. 5 years of college basketball does not usually equal an NBA career, but Battle has held his own very well through 3 games thus far, both shooting inside and out, ball handling, and simply making things happen in the 4th quarter. Battle has fit in very nicely and will be a reason Toronto will fight all season long and push for the play-in race. For the San Antonio Spurs, I remain unimpressed with the team's ability to create looks for Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, Wemby is going to be a star in the league for many, many years to come. But the coaching staff and the players on the court need to make it a priority to create easier looks for him, rather than just feeding him the ball and watching him take difficult contested shots. Obviously, the fact that Devin Vassell has yet played is factoring into the crowdedness in the half court, as his gravity is definitely being missed right now. But even so, I expected Chris Paul and Trey Jones to be doing a little more orchestrating than I have seen. The forwards in San Antonio aren't playing very well thus far. For the Sacramento Kings, my one worry remains their defense. Through 2 games, they rank 29th and 28th in defending the 3- and 2-point shots respectively. It does not matter how good your offense is, that level of scoring is going to be impossible to overcome. I especially worry about their lack of quality big men behind Domantas Sabonis. Alex Len and Trey Lyles are not getting it done. If they don't find a big man in free agency soon, they may end up digging themselves a hole too deep to climb out of in this brutal Western Conference. For the Portland Trailblazers, I want to give praise to everyone's former favorite player, Jeremy Grant. To open up 2025, Grant has bought in defensively again, which has been a sight to behold. He is the dream versatile wing who is both quick and long enough to bother both guards, as well as tall and strong enough to handle big men. Throwing in his terrific scoring ability through 3 games, Portland has to be very happy with what they have. Of course, the reason they are happy is because they're probably going to trade him later on. Grant could definitely land them some quality future assets, which would be really helpful to this team. For the Phoenix Suns, the attention has to be on Jusuf Nurkic. Though he looked like a primed Shaq in stretches against the Mavericks' elite big men, the fact of the matter is he has been a turnover machine, his 3-point shot has been awful, and his slow feet have been an issue on the defensive end. The turnovers especially are screwing with the team's game plan because shot attempts are just being lost. Devin Booker is knocking down a career-high 54% effective field goal rate, but he is only getting 14 shots a game, which is the fewest he's taken since his rookie year. Phoenix needs him to get more looks, along with Bradley Beal, and Jusuf Nurkic either committing turnovers or taking bad shots is definitely hurting with this. For the Philadelphia 76ers, I think it is pretty obvious. The team has once again been bitten by the injury bug. Joel Embiid has not played a single game this year due to what is being described as knee injury management. And Paul George has hyperextended his knee for the umpteenth time. That is over $106 million, aka over half the team's payroll, sitting on the bench in street clothes. Tyrese Maxey has looked like an all-star, but he can only do so much. The team needs to get healthy or they may end up at the bottom of the playoff picture once again. For the Orlando Magic, it looks like Franz Wagner may have figured out his outside shot and is on track to be an all-star in 2025. A career 33% three-point shooter coming into year 4, Wagner's potential has been capped due to his lackluster shooting, but at least through 3 games he has connected on 45% of his threes on a high volume. This has also made his life easier scoring inside the arc as he's making a career-high 58% there too. These numbers are a tad bit unrealistically high, but if he can remain shooting accuracies close to this will be the start of his prime, and Orlando just may moving up a tier in the East. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, I want to say how good they have looked. In 3 games where they haven't even played that well and they've been without their starting center. The team has shot a terrible 27% from outside, yet they are still a perfect 3-0 because their defense and inside scoring ability have been otherworldly, especially with Chet Holmgren. His 23, 13, and 4 blocks a night have been spectacular. They also have the best inside 3 feet rim defense in all of the NBA, led by Chet Holmgren. He is the number 1 reason they are where they are right now. If the team can start knocking down their threes, and iHeart can come back from injury soon, they are going to run away with it in the Western Conference. For the New York Knicks, I feel they need to find a way to get Karl Anthony Towns more outside shots in the half-court set. In 2 games, he has been fed the ball in the mid to low post an awful lot, and though he has connected on some tough shots that look pretty, overall these are extremely ineffective and low point per attempt shots. It is costing the team a lot. Jalen Brunson has been very good. The wings have been a little shaky, but the coaching staff, they still need to figure this out. They need to figure out a way to take advantage of the best three-point shooting big man in the NBA. He should attempt more than 2 threes a game. For the New Orleans Pelicans, it looks like they may have the Rookie of the Year on their roster in Yves Missy. Through 3 games, the 21st overall pick big man has fit nicely on both ends of the floor. He is finishing around the rim well, rebounding well, and protecting the hoop, not just well, but at an elite rate. His 5.1 blocks per 100 possessions ranks him 2nd in the league of anyone to play as many minutes as he has. Missy does not space the floor at all, but other than that, he is looking to be a terrific center in the NBA for years to come. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, I want to give some praise to Julius Randle. Often on my channel, when I bring up Randle, I usually don't have a lot of good things to say about him. But through 3 games in Minnesota, he has been as good as they could have asked for offensively. His 24 a night, with a staggering 70% effective field goal rate, including 53% from deep, is amazing. I still wish he did more defensively, but the team is extremely gifted there, and they are well coached already. If Randle is close to scoring like this all year long, they will be a top 4 team in the West. For the Milwaukee Bucks, I am worried about their bench and their defense. They pretty much have 7 genuine, okay to great NBA players on their roster. Of course, their first 5, then you have Bobby Portis and Taurean Prince. Plus, Middleton's been out with an injury to open up the year. They have been starving for points, and they have been playing terribly on the defensive end through 3 games, as they rank 23rd in the league defensively with a rating of 117. It is really hard to win a game when you basically have to hit 120 to win the game, and your 3rd best scorer is not playing. I worry about their coaching staff, I worry about the recent draft picks, and I worry about Giannis's patience. Milwaukee has a lot they need to figure out fast. For the Miami Heat, we have yet to see anyone rise to the level of an all-star on their squad. Terry Rozier is the most prolific scorer at only 19 a night, but his shooting has been very inconsistent. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo have looked not very good, and Tyler Hero looks exactly how he has always looked. They have only played 2 games, so there's really not much to overreact to here. I just think the team needs to be better on offense to make their good defense matter. I hope the young guys Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic start to pick it up a little bit, and I hope Kel'el Ware can get his way into the rotation and we can actually see what he can do. For the Memphis Grizzlies, you cannot ignore the fact that ED fouls too much. The big man has pretty much been a good player per minute production through 3 games. He is a very good finisher around the rim, he's a terrific rebounder, especially on the offensive end, but holy cow, he cannot help himself but to foul everybody. I think this is something he will get better at with time, as he is extremely big and extremely strong, and he's just spent 4 years in college, where the college game is very different than the NBA game. You get away with a little more physicality in college because both flopping is not as well rewarded in college, and college players are just not as good at foul baiting and acting for the refs. In the NBA, Edey's going to have to adjust to how it's played, but I think he's going to be fine. He is extremely skilled, he has a lot of confidence, I think he's going to be a good player, but for now, he's kind of looking like a bust. For the LA Lakers, I have to give them some props. They have 6 really good NBA players who play extremely well with one another. Honestly, they may have 6 top 100 NBA players when the whole year comes to an end if Dalton Knecht can pick up his productions a little bit. But their bench is just terrible, and their 2 best players are either old or injury prone, which I am worried about. But even so, LAL is really, really good this year, and I might be regretting having them miss the play-in. For the LA Clippers, we need to talk about Ivica Zubac. Holy cow. A week ago, if somebody told you that the Kawhi-less Clippers were going to be 2-1, you would have probably assumed James Harden has been balling out. And though his counting stats have been pretty, the reality is Harden has not been very good. He's only making 19% of his threes a night, which is just terrible. The reason the Clippers have been so competitive is primarily thanks to Zubac. 22, 14, and 4 assists a night are all career highs by a wide margin. And defensively, though his individual counting numbers will not jump out at you, he has anchored the 2nd best rim defense in the league. And they have surrendered the 2nd fewest dunks in the NBA. LAC is a good team, and the owner is very committed to winning. I expect them to be competitive all year long and make the playoffs. For the Indiana Pacers, I ask what happened to their offense. That was their whole shebang in 2024. But in 2025 through 3 games, they ranked 24th in offensive rating and dead last in outside shooting. Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Obi Toppin, and Andrew Nembhard have all opened up the year shooting below 30% from outside, which simply is not going to work in the modern NBA. Plus, their defense is about as poor as it usually is, which makes the offensive struggles look even worse. For the Houston Rockets, the team needs to lock in and actually start finishing their looks inside the arc. Sometimes basketball players get too wrapped up in the shot creation process, where the dribbling into the paint, making the pass, creating the space in isolation, or just getting a fingertip on the offensive glass. Those are all only step 1. Making the shot is step 2. Through 3 games, Houston is making a terrible 45% of their twos, which is 28th in the league. Sure, Alperen Şengün and Fred VanVleet are supposed to focus on creating looks for others, but the 2 of them have been an abysmal 38 and 33% inside the arc respectively. Throwing in their 33% outside shot as a team which ranks 21st in the league, their offense has been disappointing. For the Golden State Warriors, have you noticed that Andrew Wiggins is back to looking like his old all-star caliber self? And it's a full year ahead of his contract year, too. When Wiggins is available, knocking down his shots and playing the defense he is physically capable of, Golden State is the real deal. And they are tough outs in the West. Right now they are 2-1, with an overall point differential of plus 69. That is terrific. For the Detroit Pistons, I hate to say it, but they may be otherworldly terrible once again. Right now they are 0-3, and those 3 are pretty bad losses. They rank in the bottom 15 in almost every statistical category, including offensive rating, defensive rating, three-point shooting, rebounding, fouling, and turning over the ball. Even their genuine good talent of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey are struggling with their outside shooting at 30 and 33% respectively. I hope they can avoid a newsworthy losing streak in 2025 for their young players' mental sake. For the Denver Nuggets, I have to say that I told you so. My preseason prediction videos never really do very well, but one of the comments I received was somebody telling me that I had Denver way too low at 10th in the West. My 3 worries going into the year were their depth, Jamal Murray, and Russell Westbrook. And in 2 losses thus far, their bench has been terrible. Jamal Murray has actually been okay, but he's only making 37% of his twos. And Russell Westbrook is putting up 4 points, a turnover, 2 fouls a night on a 13% effective field goal rate. Denver's front office needs to do something soon. Otherwise, Jokic may begin to show some frustration in the form of what we're seeing with Giannis in Milwaukee. For the Dallas Mavericks, I have been very, very pleased with Luka Doncic. In 2 games thus far, he has been phenomenal offensively, averaging 34, 10, and 6, but that really is not the news here. What has stood out to me the most is how level-headed he has been. Luka has earned his reputation as a hot-headed superstar diva. Whether it showed up in the box score as a technical foul or not, almost every night down the stretch last year, Luka was getting into it with the refs. This threw off his game and got in the way of Dallas taking winnable games. If Luka can maintain his level-headedness through 2025, Dallas is going to contend, and I think he'll have as good a shot as any to win the MVP. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think Ty Jerome has come out of nowhere to make a case for winning both the Most Improved Player and the Sixth Man of the Year awards. I know, that's saying a lot right there. After being drafted in the late first round way back in 2019, Jerome just floated along quietly in the NBA for 4 years, producing very little. Then last year, after sustaining a season-ending ankle injury 2 games in, I honestly thought we were never going to see him in the NBA again. But Cleveland believed in him. Through 3 games this year, all victories, Jerome has managed career highs of 13 points, 4 assists, and 1.3 steals per game off the bench. He has been the exact type of backup they have needed, and I hope he can keep it up. For the Chicago Bulls, dare I suggest that Zach LaVine may have restored his trade value. I made a video breaking down trade ideas for LaVine in the offseason when it looked like he was going to be dealt for pennies on the dollar. But now through 3 games, he has managed averages of 24 and 6 rebounds a night with a 47% long shot on nearly 8 tries a game. I cannot think of a team who would not want that on their team right now. Chicago is stacked with young guard talent around the perimeter. Moving off of LaVine for some young inside talent needs to be their priority right now. For the Charlotte Hornets, I think LaMelo Ball is reestablishing himself as the best player from his draft class. 2 injury-plagued years in a row caused the casual fan to forget about Ball, but in 3 games he has been unstoppable offensively, putting up averages of 31, 7, and 7 a night with a 41% long shot on an incredible 12 tries a game. Those are some video game level numbers. And on top of this, Charlotte has been respectable in all of their matches. They may be a playoff team after all is said and done, and LaMelo may be an all-NBA caliber level player. For the Brooklyn Nets, I think it is clear that Ben Simmons' basketball career is puttering out before our eyes. Their highest paid player is scoring 5 points, passing up a bunch of layups, committing 4 turnovers, and committing 4 fouls a game in order to get his butt on the bench faster. You hate seeing someone break mentally. Don't think for a second that I personally am happy to see Ben Simmons go through this, but it will be a relief to his teammates, the coaching staff, and Brooklyn fans when the season comes to an end and everyone can move on from the Ben Simmons era. For the Boston Celtics, it is clear this is the team to beat in the East. I don't think anyone even pushes a 7-game series past 5 out east, and if the West cannibalizes itself again, we may have a very predictable outcome in the finals when it is all said and done. And finally, for the Atlanta Hawks, I believe this is the best version of Trae Young we have ever seen. His maturity and leadership are looking improved, his shot creation ability remains elite at 30 points and 11 assists per game, and his defense appears to have taken another step forward as he's poking the ball away and getting in passing lanes better than he gets credit for. I tentatively have Trae Young as one of my all-NBA spots, which is something pretty much nobody was saying coming into the year. And there you have it. I would say most of these takes have been very surprising to me, but then again, the league is only a week old. This time next week, everything I just said may be old news, and this video will age terribly. All we can do now is wait and see. I want to thank you guys for watching the video all the way up to the end. Please comment on some of my takes or let me know some of your overreactions down below. I really do appreciate interacting with you guys, even if you're just laughing at me for being way off on something. I truly do value your opinions. Until next time, I will see you all next time.